Welcome to another Build Day TV episode. I'm Alistair Cook, and we are carrying on our series looking at the Oracle Cloud VMware solution. And by we, I mean I am going to be asking the questions, and the man I'm going to ask questions of is Mr. Tom Green, who has been doing the actual hands-on work for us. How are you doing this Friday afternoon, Tom?
I am doing extremely well. We're getting ready to see some really cool cross-cloud stuff.
Excellent. And of course, making us all look good on camera, Mr. Powers, Jeffrey, is sitting behind his console somewhere in Madison, Wisconsin, and switching all the videos in and out. So we in the previous videos connected our Chicago data center to the Ashburn, Virginia environment for the Oracle Cloud. We've configured networking between, we've configured, what else did we do? We deployed a whole vSphere cluster, and then in the last video we set up routing between our on-premises environment and the vSphere virtual machine NSX network inside Oracle. And of course, Tom has spent some time building Active Directory domains so that we have Active Directory and DNS unified between the two sites. And today we're going to do the unification of the VMware management layer. Is that correct?
Indeed. Yep.
Cool.
That's the plan. All right. So research is really key to this because we're going to be repointing the embedded VCSA. So the authentication, the PSC is all embedded inside of the appliance in 6.7 U3. So traditionally, you were able to have an external PSC to handle authentication, certificates, and so on. And now it's all bundled in one neat package, but they had to create some new tools to allow you to do a enhanced linked mode. And the tool that we're going to be using is a command line tool called CMSSO util. That's a really catchy name. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to SSH into the vCenter host or vCenter server. This is on the Oracle side. We're in the Oracle jump box right now. We're going to SSH as root into the VCSA. I'm kind of accentuating that and maybe being a little redundant about it, but the fact that you can get root on the cloud hosted vCenter is pretty big. You've got the keys. You can do this. There's no workarounds or anything else to.
There's no support calls or third-party tools that are required for this. This is native VMware tools, the same as you'd have on premises.
Yep. So if you've connected two vCenters together already, this is the exact same process that you would take. I'm going to do some copy and paste magic here. That's the wrong thing. Let's try that again, shall we? Authentication is key, Alistair.
It is.
All right. So now let's do some copy and paste magic to bring this over, and we're going to kind of talk about it. So it's as I said, the CMSSO utility. We're going to be doing a domain repoint. So what we're doing and saying with that is we're taking the Oracle SSO domain and we're going to point it and say instead we're going to use the domain on Chicago, so in our primary data center. Important here is we're running a pre-check. So it's just checking to make sure there's no incompatibilities. We don't have a duplicated licensing key. We don't have groups that are going to overlap for any reason. Yeah. In here, do I need to stop?
You need to do a new session and in the window font, I think it was.
All right. So we need to do some authentication into the VCSA. And we're going to clear to give us a little bit more room. All right. So whenever we're adding this command, it's the CMSSO util. So we're changing the single sign-on domain to point to the on-premises CTO advisor data center that's currently in Chicago. So we're trying to do a domain repoint. So the embedded PSC will be uninstalled and it will actually use that one. We're doing a pre-check. We want to make sure there's no conflicts or errors. And something to keep in mind if you're going to do that. The source account, the source VCSA is the one that you are actually initiating the command on. So in this case, my source is the OCVS, and the replication partner is the on-premises. That makes a difference whenever you have two different passwords and you have to type them as soon as I hit enter here. You can get tripped up and enter the wrong password for the wrong side and just have to keep trying.
You speak as if this may have happened to somebody you know.
Yeah, I've heard rumor of somebody getting kind of frustrated because they kept typing the passwords and they couldn't quite get them right. All right, so here we go. So it's asking us to enter the source.
That's the Oracle.
Yeah, this is
side.
Yeah, it's good to keep that in mind because, as we just said, it's easy to.
There's Chicago.
Yeah, it's easy to get those confused, and so it'll give you a long list of information, tell you everything. It's checking global permissions. Any global permissions for the Oracle side is going to be lost. Mm-hmm. Administrator at vSphere.local from the other domain from Chicago is going to be assigned the administrator role on this system, and which also means your password will change. So if you do like I do and not like you're supposed to do, and you log in as administrator at vSphere.local a lot, your password is going to change to match Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. And so it also tells you what licenses are going to be transferred. It tells you the thumbprint.
This yellow blurred piece that you should see thanks to Jeffrey's magic, because we can't show you those license keys.
Right. Yeah. Those license keys are going to be shown. They'll be added into the other inventory. So it'll be able to manage licensing from one central repository. And if everything looks good, you hit yes for the pre-check. Remember, this is just a pre-check. This is not a actual execution. It's going to go through and it's going to check everything. It says the pre-checks were successful. If something had messed up, there would be red letters here. And if there were any data conflicts, they would be in this log location.
Right.
So I think
like we're all good.
I think we're all good. So we're going to clear the screen. And we're going to try it for real. See how stop. We've just did the pre-check. Everything checked out right. So we're ready. We're going to pretend this is a good maintenance window and we're not going to break anything. There will be downtime on the Oracle side, as one may expect. It's the exact same command. All the same considerations apply, except instead of mode, you don't have pre-check, you type execute.
And when you talk about downtime here, that's not the virtual machine downtime, it's not workload downtime, it's management interface downtime.
Correct, yeah. So there's no networking or vSAN downtime, but it's if you're trying to take a snapshot, if you're in a backup window, vCenter and all of its API are going to be down for the duration of the repoint. So it is important to plan it to where you're not going to interfere with any of your other processes. And it's just downtime on the Oracle side. The Chicago side shouldn't experience any issues. So you're going to hit enter to actually run this. And it gives you the same exact information, exactly what it's going to do, all the same license keys, the yellow blur that you see, and all that. What it's doing differently of instead of doing pre-checks to make sure it can export stuff and everything is happy, it's actually doing it. And the process itself takes about 10 minutes to go from hitting yes, which I had confirmed, to actually being up and ready and being able to manage both vCenter servers from either vSphere client, no matter which one you hit.
Well, we'll get Jeffrey to speed up the waiting process for you. And then through the magic of editing, we should find that the task is completed. That looks like it's completed okay.
Yep, everything is successful. So we need to validate. To do that, we're going to go and reopen the vSphere client on the Oracle side. As you see, it says...
Ashburn side, yeah.
So we're in Ashburn. go to administrator at vSphere.local, and we're going to type the Chicago
With
password.
the now unified password.
Yep. This is the last time it is only the Chicago password. Once we log in, it is the everything password. Moment of truth. You see here's Oracle, our hosts, our virtual machines, and here's also Chicago, all of our hosts and virtual machines.
Nice. So we now have that unified view across the two.
Yep. I consider that a success.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So that's a pretty simple process. I imagine there's good documentation of that process somewhere around.
Yeah. So VMware has the utility. It's CMSSO util. VMware has a lot of knowledge bases for how to unregister, re-register. Just go into their knowledge base. The explanations of the tools that we ran all came from here.
And again, because we have full administrator rights to the VMware environment on Oracle, it's just exactly the same process as if this was two independent vSphere deployments on premises.
Yes.
There's no special sauce and magic required for this.
Nope. It's just if you Google or go on to whatever your preferred search provider and search for the CMSSO, you'll get full documentation. You have full rights. It'll work just like you would expect it to.
Okay, so we've now unified management of VMs as well as unifying network. Anything else that we need to validate along the way of unification before we move on to the next video where we'll do the View deployment on this Oracle Cloud vSphere environment?
I think that's it. I mean, at this point, if we wanted to move this template over, we could do that. If you want to see that process for at least getting it started, we can go ahead and do that. And then we'll.
Why don't you go through that one just to validate it as all glued together nicely?
Yeah. So let's we'll start with this template that's been converted to a virtual machine.
Yep.
Go ahead and migrate that. So when you're doing the migrate for this, you'll want to change the compute resource and storage, since it's going to go off of vSAN in Chicago and go into Oracle. So you can put it into the workload resource group. And validated. Something to note is this template doesn't have a network card installed in it. The reason being, if you are doing a migration or any sort of transfer, it doesn't like not having the same networking in the source and destination.
So matching port groups and those kinds of things going on.
Right. So you need to make sure that either you have the same networking in both sides, or you can remove the network card. We're going to move it onto vSAN, move it into templates, and it's relocating. We have 100 megabit across the pipe. So it could
30 gigs of storage to move over 100 meg pipe. That's not going to take 30 seconds to complete. That's going to take a little bit longer.
Right. So we don't necessarily have to wait for it to go on and start working on other things. I just wanted to validate that, yes, we could migrate something from Chicago into Oracle.
All right. So we have unified management, unified network. We have seen the benefit of having full access and not having to treat this vSphere cluster like a special case. It's just another vSphere cluster on our WAN. Mm-hmm. That seems really cool. All right. So next we're going to do View, but we'll do that in another video. So thank you very much, Tom, for showing us how to integrate our Oracle Cloud VMware solution into the management of our on-premises vSphere.
All right. Thank you very much.